word career mean? This was something that I was very interested in, and so I went to the dictionary to look it up. And the very first thing that caught my attention was a synonym, and it was calling. What is your calling? What is that thing that keeps you up late at night? What is that thing that keeps pulling at you? What is that thing when you're sitting in the car line picking up your kids that keeps tugging at you that you can't get out of your head? That, my friends, is your purpose. That's your calling. Like many of you, I felt as though I had the master plan. I could pursue my calling without any help. And I soon learned that that wasn't the case. It was like being on an unstoppable roller coaster, being jerked from side to side, only to come right back to the very beginning because I was trying to do it myself. All the things I tried to do on my own never seemed to flourish. So it was very evident to me that the only choice, the only answer, was to seek God so that I could allow Him to map out the plan for me. In Proverbs 16:9, it states, "In their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord established their steps." What if I just did allow God to direct me from the very beginning and didn't try to do it on my own? I wouldn't have spent years going in circles like the children of Egypt and maybe would have been closer to operating in my calling a bit sooner. Years of frustration with doing things that were not my calling pushed me to launch my company, Lacretia Virtual Assistant. My extensive experience has afforded me the opportunity to serve and inspire others in ways beyond what I could ever imagine. I always knew I wanted to help people and have always been great at encouraging others and giving advice. So I knew that whatever career God would put me in and place me in at that very moment, I would be investing my time and energy into serving others. Going through this journey of life has not been easy for me, and I'm sure it's not easy for you. With running the kids here and there, having to work a full-time job, and going to school, I know it can be difficult. I have had to go through some rough times as well while pursuing my career, which I call my calling. As much as I wanted God to give it to me right now, I wanted to already be there. I wanted to already be operating in my destiny. It wasn't time. God was simply preparing me for what He had in store. I just want to say to anyone out there who is doubting themselves, I know you're on the edge and you're wanting to give up. You're wanting to throw in the towel, but don't quit. I am a living testimony of what God can do if you continue to pursue the purpose that He has for you. Just know that God has equipped you with everything you need. So don't allow people to say you aren't qualified, because you are. God has already gifted you and equipped you with everything that you need at this very moment for this very season. As a single mother at the age of 20 who suffered from postpartum depression shortly after marrying someone just to fill that void and having another baby girl out of this union and then going through a divorce, I get it. I know how hard life can be. I know how you may want to throw in the towel. However, I refuse to let what the devil meant for bad keep me from the purpose God had for me. There were many missed opportunities. It took me 7 years just to receive an associate's degree, 2 more years to receive my bachelor's degree, and then another 1.5 years to receive my master's. But I was determined, regardless of what may have came my way, I was regardless to pursue my purpose. There were many jobs I left and lost. It was jobs in particular where I would stay up in the wee hours of the night just to train myself on particular skills and tools because my supervisor doubted my abilities. It was during those times that God was simply positioning me for exactly where He wanted me to be. So I asked you, what are you doing during the midnight hours to meet God halfway? Are you putting in the groundwork to reach your calling? In Romans 8:28, it says, "And we know that all things work for the good of those that love the Lord and who are called according to His purpose." Everything that has happened to you up until this point, there's been purpose behind it. There's a reason. When you have the calling on your life, nothing and no one can hold you back. Nothing can stop you from pursuing the very thing that God has put in you. My daddy used to ask me why I jumped from job to job, and I never had an answer for him. Now I do, and I simply can say God had a plan, and God was meticulously positioning me in the places He needed me to be, and there was purpose behind each job I ever had. God seemed to assign me to places that seemed insignificant. However, I realized that He needed me to get something out of each assignment. The places I thought were pointless and I dreaded being, God had a point behind it. It was in those times that I was supposed to learn lessons that would equip me for the greater. It was in those places that seemed to hold me back that God was cooking up a bigger plan. It was in those very places that I thought didn't matter that God was preparing me for my calling. It is so important to pursue God with all your heart, mind, body, and soul, because He is the one who will guide you, advise you, and believe me, He'll never leave you. It is a process that God takes us through to prepare you for that dream job, your husband, that ministry. In Matthew 6:33, it says, "Seek the kingdom of God above all else and live righteously, and He will give you everything you need." Although God gives us free will to decide how much of our purpose He will fulfill, He is still the source and author of your story. Each and every day, I have the opportunity to serve others in my business, and this wasn't an easy journey. What I have learned over the years is that this story that God has strategically wrote is not just for me to hold in, but it's to share with other women like you who think that they don't have value, who think that they're not worth anything, who think that the mountain is too tall to climb. Are you insecure and unsure of the gifts God has given? Well, I tell you now, don't be, because God already knows the plans for your life, the plans to prosper you and not to harm you, the plans to give you hope and a future. Even though you can't see it, God is working behind the scenes and awaiting you to make the choice to fully pursue Him. Understand, since the very moment you were birthed, God has been preparing you for this season in your life, and He is ready to promote you to the greater that He has in store. So embrace the process and be willing to put in the work so when that time comes, you can be promoted.